Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Joe Two in Love. Here back at it with your AEW Dynamite review for October 6th, 2021. The 2-year anniversary of AEW Dynamite just wrapped up, and solid episode for the 2-year anniversary. A couple things to note. Big news came out. Two notions to be exact. First, now I'll get to them more in a bit, but TBS title was introduced for the women, and Hangman Adam Page, he returned in the main event. This was the Joker in the Casino Ladder match to determine for an AEW world title shot at Kenny Omega. Here's the thing. First off, I think we can all agree that despite the rumors, we're all kind of expecting a trios title to be introduced instead of the TBS title for the women. Now, obviously, we know that the AEW Dynamite is going to be moving to TBS at the start of the new year. Apparently, Rampage will still be on TNT, and Dynamite will be having quarterly events for Dynamite. So there's that. But the thing is, AEW has a solid but not really deep women's division. Now, you have some good names. I mean, obviously, excluding Britt Baker because she's the AEW Women's World Champion. You have Chris Statlander. You have Ruby Soho, just came in. Jade Cargill, who's still improving. Thunder Rosa. Nyla Rose, who's okay. I mean, Sky Blue, she made an appearance tonight on Dynamite, etc. You got Penelope Ford, Ty Conti. I mean, Anna Jay. Not really a deep women's division, but has some good names. You also have Riho and such, but Jamie Hayter, but you get my point. Now, AEW, if they can keep their road, as in maybe this is because they do a pretty decent job of building the women. I mean, compared to what it was 2 years ago, it is definitely better than where it was at the start of AEW. But hopefully, I mean, if this is the case, then maybe this is the building ground for AEW to build more women or build more stars, because they're going to be having a tournament to start the new year on Dynamite for TBS. So maybe that's their mindset. It's just with all the trios and all the factions in AEW, it's pretty much a letdown. Now, we'll see where they go from here, because AEW we can trust, but those are my thoughts on it. Really. Now, Hangman on Page. I'll get to the main events later on, but Hangman was the Joker in the Casino Ladder match main event to vie for an AEW World title shot. He had a great reaction, great reception. He looked like he hadn't missed a beat. Now, of course, he was only out 2 months and such with his girlfriend having their first child. So I imagine that that's been cleared up with because, of course, he asked Tony Khan for time off. Now he's back. And it's just a great feel for him to be back. And now is the question, when does the match happen? Because we know Bryan Danielson is still eyeing a rematch with Kenny Omega for the AEW World Championship. And we know that Hangman, I mean, from the reception he got tonight, it's hard to deny him, and looks like they still are invested in him. So it's a tick-tacky thing because they said, although they were kind of going back and forth on it, that he can cash in the poker chip for the world title shot at any time. So perhaps it's not full gear, perhaps they can still save it for Revolution. That's a thought, but it's interesting now with him back. How does everything fall into place? But overall, just very glad to see him back. And that was a great visual and of him drinking a cold one on top of the ladder to end Dynamite. But yeah, it's just great thing to see. Alright, so now before I get into review, thank you for joining me. I must say, if you're new to podcasts, if you want to see more videos, click that subscribe as well. If you like this review, click that like button as well. But with that big intro out of the way and my thoughts on those two big talking points, coming away from the review, now let's get into the actual show, the review portion. So the show started off hot and heavy. We had the Elite, Kenny Omega, Adam Cole, and the Young Bucks versus Christian Cage, Bryan Danielson, and Jurassic Express. Chaotic. This was action all around. Not much to say. Just a great way to open Dynamite with that hot Philly crowd. Solid open. So, trying my best to go over it all. But, so, it was a super kick facebuster by Jurassic Express on Cole for a near fall. Then, what took out Christian Cage on the outside was the Young Bucks hitting Indie Taker on the ringside area, and Jurassic Express were checking on him, and they factored in on commentary that his history of neck issues and concussions, so that took him out for the match. Then a brainbuster by Jungle Boy. There were many moments where, of course, he would get beaten down, try and make a small comeback, try and make the hot tag, but he was denied. Big lariat. Then the Young Bucks went for a double suplex, but countered to a double DT. Then the hot tag to Bryan Danielson, who, after everyone was attacked, it was down to Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson in the middle of the ring. Good moment, of course. First time really since their great match in New York a couple weeks ago. They exchange, and then a big lariat by Bryan, followed with a top rope hurricanrana with a diving headbutt for a near fall. Bryan hit a tiger suplex on Omega for another 2 count. Then he got in the cow mutilation on Omega, but Nick Jackson hit a senton atomico from the top rope on Bryan, which broke up the hold. Luchasaurus, he ran in and demolished pretty much everyone. He chokeslammed Ankle on Omega, hit a moonsault from the apron to the outside. Then a suicida by Bryan, which took out the Elite, followed by the Rise of the Terminator by Omega. Then Cole, he teased it. He looked like he was going to go for a dive on the outside, but he stopped for his casual pose. The Adam Cole Baby chant rang loud in Philly. So ultimately, for the finish, it was a 4-way BT trigger to Jungle Boy by the Elite for the win. Adam Cole gets a pin again on Jungle Boy, and the Elite stand tall and get the finish on Jurassic Express. And that was a hot open, very good open to start. I actually enjoy when they start Dynamite with the guys in the ring instead of the entrances a bit, just because it's a refresher and it makes note that they're getting into the action of the matches first. No BS, nothing, just quick start. So then we got Jon Moxley backstage promo prior to his Casino Lab match, which would be the main event, saying that it's his company, it's his city, it's his title, pretty much. So then we got CM Punk. He came out. I mean, 7 years of CM Punk away from the wrestling world, and just seeing him out week to week is just fun to see. I mean, yes, there's a honeymoon period of the attraction is a little off just because we see him many times a week, but considering he was out for so long and eventually he's going to get into another storyline, it's good to see for CM Punk. So he was out there, praised Philadelphia, and he challenged Daniel Garcia to a match on Rampage, picking up what happened a few weeks ago, when 2.0 and Daniel Garcia attacked CM Punk prior to his match with Darby Allin. And looks like we're going to get that match on Rampage. I tell you, Daniel Garcia, he just gives you William Regal, Zack Sabre Jr. vibes in AEW. And he's still really young. He still has work to do. But I mean, getting matches with Darby, getting matches with Jon Moxley, getting matches with Eddie Kingston, now CM Punk. I mean, it's hard not to love that start for a young career so far in AEW. So then, Arn Anderson. This was a stellar promo, I think. So, Arn Anderson, he was outside Cody Rhodes' house. Cody and Randy's house. And he was outside of, in front of a trash can that was on fire, or had fire in the innards of the trash can. So then Arn was cutting a promo, and then Cody came out, and Arn's like, well, it took you so long to notice I was out here. So Cody came down, addressed Arn, and was trying to shed the look, I would say corporate side, and a way Arn probably depicts it is the comfortable side of Cody, which is the corporate kind of side. So they burned the suit, and Arn asked for Cody's tie. And Cody said, you don't have to do this. And then Arn smacked Cody in the face, and he said, you left us. So then Cody reluctantly gave Arn his tie, and he threw it in the fire. So there's that. Saw it. I mean, the little glimpses, kind of poetic, as in with the fire. It's a slow burn for Cody to turn heel. And we're seeing little differences out of him each week. So, some good stuff. Next, we got the TNT Championship match between Bobby Fish and Sammy Guevara. Bobby Fish, obviously, former of the Undisputed Era in NXT, arguably the greatest faction in pro wrestling in the last decade, if not one of the best factions, with Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roger Strong. he has been with MLW and or he is now with MLW, but a part of the Forbidden Door, he is walking into AEW and facing Sammy Guevara for the TNT Championship, the new TNT champion, Sammy Guevara, after that great win over Miro last week. Fine match. Um, Look, we know how good of a veteran Bobby Fish is. You know, he doesn't have a great personality. However, when it's time to get into a ring, not much better than Bobby Fish. Sammy Guevara, of course, he's really coming to his own. Sort of like MJF said, he is one of the pillars of AEW, which will take him into success for years to come. And Sammy Guevara is growing. So, but getting into the match here, it was a kick on the outside by Fish, which knocked Guevara on the back of his head on the apron down to the outside, which kind of affected him throughout this match. So there was a Spanish fly by Sammy Guevara, and then Guevara he was collapsed on the top rope after going for the 630. Fish hit a beautiful Falcon Arrow off the top rope for a near fall, then hit an exploder suplex on Sammy to the turnbuckle for another 2 count. Then Fish went for a roundhouse kick to the head, which Bryan Danielson does, but Guevara had countered, went for the GTH to go to hell, and pinned Bobby Fish 1, 2, 3, and retains the TNT Championship. But after the match, so we also had the TNT or the American Top Team guys. They came out of the crowd with Dan Lambert and Paige Van Zandt, Scorpio, along with Scorpio Sky, Junior Dos Santos, etc. We didn't see Andre Arlovsky or Jorge Masvidal or Ethan Page, which a little strange, but nonetheless, they cornered Sammy Guevara in the ring and they ambushed him because Sammy Guevara affiliated with Jake Hager and Chris Jericho. So then Fuego del Sol came out and tried to help Guevara, but he was being beaten down as well. Finally, Chris Jericho and Jake Hager, they came out, even the odds. And American Top Team guys retreated with Dan Lambert. Lambert cut a promo. He issued a challenge for Miami in a few weeks that are not sure, but I think it might be the Dynamite for Saturday, October 16th. If that's the case, I think it is, but he issued a challenge for that Dynamite that it will be a 6-man tag. We got the Man of the Year, Ethan Page, Scorpio Sky, and Junior Dos Santos. Junior Dos Santos versus the Inner Circles, Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, and Sammy Guevara. And Jorge Masvidal and Dan Lambert will be in the corner of Man of the Year and Junior Dos Santos. I mean, I think this is kind of what people are fearing, that with these MMA guys coming in, that they would be a little worried that one of them would be getting in the ring, and looks to be that Junior Dos Santos is gonna be in the ring for a match with the Man of the Year and against the Inner Circle. So, look, here's the thing. You can tell how much they're trying to get over the Man of the Year, Ethan Page, Scrub the Sky. You know, they're playing him with Dan Lambert, playing him with the American Top Team guys. It's okay to an extent. You know, you're affiliating with them with these guys. I mean, Ethan Page is pretty much made with his promos and his work in the ring. He's good. Scorpio Sky, you know, he cut a better promo last week, and we know he's really good in the ring. But you just hope that this angle doesn't bring him down. Because, you know, there's going to be a community, part of the MMA community, that will watch this match for Junior Dos Santos. Now, the question is, will those people stay for AEW, or they will just be like, hey, it's Junior Dos Santos, and then leave after? I mean, that's just a fear, but I did like the segment. Obviously, I love the Inner Circle. Overall, the match with Sammy Guevara and Bobby Fish was really good. We'll just see how it goes down in Miami. And by the way, so it'll be next Saturday night. So no AEW review next Thursday, but AEW Dynamite will be on next Saturday. So I'll probably have, and we'll have to figure out because NFL football, but I'll either post a AEW Dynamite review for that episode either Sunday or next Sunday, or if not, the following Monday. But I'll work around it, so we'll see. So we go from that to the unveiling of the TBS women's title for the women. Tony Schiavone, he was in the ring with Aubrey Edwards, in which they unveiled the TBS championship for the women. So, relatively similar design to the TNT championship. It's just mostly with a TBS logo on the front instead of obviously the TNT championship logo. I mean, and also it looked bigger. And we know how small the AEW Women's Championship is. So it looked bigger. So I'm just Curious how it's gonna actually look, but they can still modify it within the months to come. But yeah, they also announced that there will be a tournament to decide the inaugural champion January 5th on TBS. So interesting. And we heard some of the women speak about the opportunity. Ruby Soul, Sky Blue, Jay Cargill, and Thunder Rosa. I mean, I want Thunder Rosa. I think we all want Thunder Rosa far and away from the TBS championship. If there's any championship that she should be feuding for, it's she should be the one to take the title off Britt Baker. But we'll see how things mold. If anything, this title is meant for someone like a Sky Blue, Jay Cargo, um, Riho perhaps, Serena Deeb, who we saw later in the show versus Hikaru Shida. She could also use that championship as well. But there was that. Then we got Darby Allin versus Nick Camarado of the Factory. So Nick Camarado, he has a great look about him. He looks kind of like a Bruiser Brody type, along with a Brody Lee in a way look about him. But overall, he's still learning. So it was a coffin drop by Darby for the win. But before the match, there was a sit down with Darby Allin of Jim Ross and asked about the actions of MJF the week before. And Darby Allin went over tactics, went over how the story again of why he paints his face, and went over that. And he said that no one or MJF hasn't faced someone quite like Darby Allin. So then next, a interesting segment. So Dante Martin of Top Flight, who was in the ring with Tony Schiavone, he had the microphone and talked about his success of the last few months without his brother, how he's taken it to the likes of Kenny Omega and etc. How he's pushed them to their limit, and he said that he's ready to face anybody in the back. So then all of a sudden, the lights go out and they come back on, and it's the spotlight in the ring with Malachi Black with his strange mask on, and Tony Schiavone hightails it. Dante Martin, he's slowly turning around, and he's like, okay, I may have fucked up. And so Black spews the mist in Martin's eyes, then hits a Sin Eater roundhouse kick. or Martin eats a Sin Eater roundhouse kick. Lights go out again. They come back on. Black is circling in the middle of the ring. Martin is laid out on the outside. And Black simply says, "The House of Black accepts." So we're going to get Malachi Black versus Dante Martin. And another interesting test for both sides. The reason I say that is because Dante Martin, while really young, has shown he can really go as a wrestler on his own. And with the high flying versus the Muay Thai submission game of Black, it's really a testament. And of course, Black, as devious as they come, and I'm intrigued about that match. See how it goes. So then we got Ricky Starks. He was in the ring. He talked about how he was ready for a fight and how he embodies the FTW title mindset, which why he's the team FTW champion, not Brian Cage. And he was gonna face him in a Philadelphia street fight, but Cage didn't show up. So then all of a sudden we hear Brian Cage's music play. He comes out, storms the ring, attacks Starks, but Hook and Hobbs save Starks, and that was pretty much the segment. And apparently on Rampage, so we're gonna get some good matches on Rampage. So gonna get CM Punk versus Daniel Garcia. We got Sky Blue versus Jay Cargill. The Lucha Brothers defend their tag team championships against the number one ranked, the Acclaimed. And we got Brian Cage versus Ricky Starks in a Philadelphia street fight. So, some good stuff for Rampage Friday. So, then we got Hikaru Shida, who hasn't been on Dynamite in a while since losing her AEW Women's World Championship to Britt Baker. She returns to Dynamite fighting for her 50th win to become the first woman in AEW history to 50 wins. Jungle Boy, he got his 50th win on the male side, so she vying for her 50th win on the female side for Serena Deeb. Interesting match. Another woman who we haven't seen in a while, Serena Deeb, been out with an injury. She's back, and this took an interesting turn, and it was a swerve pretty much, because I think everyone thinking here is that, okay, this is all for Hikaru Shida to get her 50th win in AEW on the 2-year anniversary of Dynamite. Nope. So, Deeb rolled up Shida with a camel clutch like pin for a near fall. Shida went for a crossbody to the outside off the middle rope. Back, as they were back in the ring, Deeb hit a swinging neckbreaker. Shida hit a Falcon Arrow for a near fall. Deeb hit her finisher, the Detox, for another 2 count. And then Deeb, we saw she was doing some heel tactics during the match. She was raking the eyes of Shida. She was trying her best to manipulate the knee of Shida. And finally, she locked on the Serenity Lock on Shida, and Shida tapped out. So, pretty much, Serena Deeb played spoiler here. And Hikaru Shida does not get her 50th win tonight. There is a little trophy on a stand on the outside the ring. After Deeb made Shida tapped out, she wiped her in the face with the trophy, and that was kind of how it ended. So Serena Deeb played spoiler and seems to be now more serious and a more of a heel character in AEW. I mean, we have not seen her much in AEW, and because she's had a bunch of injuries, and she's one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. So I'm intrigued to see how this goes. Now, obviously, she is going to get her 50 win. It just depends when. And I mean, she also hasn't been on Dynamite in a while. She's been on Dark, but that's on YouTube. She has not been on Dynamite in a long while. So I think the whole attraction for this match kind of suffered from both those aspects. So then backstage in the parking lot, we got a ambush of Darby Allin. He was being interviewed by Alex Marvez, saying MJF issued a challenge to Darby Allin for next week, and Darby accepted, but so then a limo shows up, and Darby is attacked with a chair, and 5 masked men mug Darby Allin and attack him. It was basically the pinnacle. I mean, I would be surprised if it wasn't, but interesting tech. So I think perhaps they're playing this up and they're drawing it out, and we'll probably get this match at Full Gear. So there's that. So then we get to the main event. Casino ladder match for a world title shot, AEW world title shot. We got Lance Archer versus Orange Cassidy versus Jon Moxley versus Matt Hardy versus Pac, Andrade El Idolo, and the Joker, which turned out to be the returning Hangman and Page. So, getting into this match, so Orange Cassidy and Pac started. Obviously, the history between the two from last year before the pandemic. So, Backbreaker by Pac, followed with a Brainbuster. And then next, Andrade El Idolo. He was next. So he went for the biggest ladder on the outside, but he got drop kicked in his face by Pac. Pac then went up the ladder for the chip. Andrade springboard off the top rope to the ladder, and then hit a sunset flip powerbomb on the Pac off the ladder. Good spot. So then Matt Hardy, he was next, as Orange Cassidy was the only one standing in the ring. So Hardy hit a side effect, laid out the rest of the competitors with the ladder. Then they cut to break, and it was only 2 minutes. I believe only 2 minutes until each competitor came out, or a new competitor came out. So Lance Archer, during the break, he came out next, laid out everyone. He threw, I think it was Orange Cassidy, into Matt Hardy on the ringside area. He had pounced to Pac, followed with a helicoaster to Matt Hardy. Then Orange Cassidy was set up on this ladder that was bridged between the ropes and the ladder that was set up in the middle of the ring. Archer dived off the middle rope onto Orange Cassidy on this ladder. Then Archer, in the middle of the ring, no one's near him. And he's waiting because he knows that his rival, Jon Moxley, is next. And Moxley comes out through the crowd. And Archer instead goes away from the ring and goes to meet Moxley in the aisle or the crowd area. They brawl. So if there's one thing I didn't like was kind of the silliness, the stupidity. Archer's in the middle of the ring, and he has a chance to go up the ladder and grab the poker chip. But instead, he goes outside the ring to meet Moxley, and it's just so and so. But so they get back in the ringside. Archer threw a chair into Moxley's face. Orange Cassidy and Archer were in the middle of the ring. Cassidy hit an orange punch on Archer, and Archer was actually wearing the ladder. And after 2 orange punches, the ladder was set up, and Orange Cassidy tried climbing on the back of Archer, tried to climb up this ladder and get the poker chip, but was stopped by Moxley. And then the only one left in the middle of the ring is Moxley. And then with a great reception, Hangman Adam Page. He comes out, his music plays. He is the Joker, and he walked to the ring with a purpose. He and Moxley exchange, great way to open up for him to be back. So he exploded on everyone. He had a fallaway slam, or he knocked Archer to the outside. He caught Orange Cassidy off the top rope. threw him into the ladder. He had dive on Matt Hardy, who was holding a ladder on the outside. Pac from behind used a chair, hit him in the back of the head to stall him. Then there were a couple of tables that were set up on the outside. Pac, he set up one of these tables right next to a ladder, which was in the corner, and he set up Adam Page on the table. Looked like he was gonna do a 450 or a Black Arrow off the ladder, but Andrade, he met Pac on the top of the ladder, but Pac fought him off. He knocked him through a ladder on the outside, which took Andrade out. Then Page met Pac on the top of the ladder, hit a Deadeye from the top of the ladder all the way down through this table. Real spot. It looked like Hangman hurt his knee. I wouldn't be surprised if it was filming. Not as good tomorrow, but still a good spot. Reminded me of All In when it was Hangman versus Joey Janela in that street fight, and Hangman hit after he used a phone. He hit the Deadeye to Joey Janela off the ladder through this table. Good spot though. So Hardy, he was exchanging with Moxley on top of the ladder. Hardy, he sent both of them off the top of the ladder. And then Hardy, because again, there were a couple tables set up. So Hardy set up Orange Cassidy on the other table that was set up on the outside. Then from the top of the ladder, Matt Hardy hit his signature leg drop through Orange Cassidy through his table on the outside, which took both of them out. So Lance Archer, he was left alone in the middle ring. Then, just like that, Hangman comes in, hits the buckshot lariat, takes Archer out. So then it's basically down to Hangman and Moxley. They're on top of the ladder. They exchange. They're landing some strikes. And then Moxley, I'm not sure if he was dinged or it was supposed to be like that, but Moxley, he falls off the ladder and no one left. Hangman, he lifts up the poker chip and Hangman is victorious in his return. He gets the title shot against Kenny Omega for the AEW World Championship in the future. And great reception, great all-around return for Hangman, and a great way to end the 2-year anniversary edition of AEW Dynamite. Overall, solid show from beginning to end. Not really anything to complain about other than that disappointment with the TBS Women's Championship instead of Trios Championships, but nonetheless, that's the review and that's the episode for you guys. Thank you all for joining me. Again, if you're new to the podcast, click that subscribe as well as the like button as well. But thank you again. I'll be back Saturday for Rampage as well as next week, which either will be not this Sunday, but next Sunday or Monday, you'll get AEW Dynamite as well as So Rampage will come first before Dynamite, but I'll get to both the shows. So anyway, thank you. Be safe. Peace.